Coming up in this video, you'll discover why Matthew's genealogy isn't broken. It's brilliant. We'll unpack the secret meaning behind the number 14, how Jesus legally bypasses a divine curse that should have disqualified him, and why including scandalous women was a revolutionary statement of grace. Let's jump right in. Number 1. It's not a biological record, it's a theological declaration. Now here's what most readers miss. Matthew wasn't trying to document Jesus' DNA. In the first century, Jewish genealogies often weren't strictly biological. They were carefully shaped to make theological or legal statements. And Matthew opens his gospel with a bold one. Matthew chapter 1 verse 1 says this: "The book of the genealogy of Jesus Christ, the son of David, the son of Abraham." That's not just a historical intro, it's a theological bombshell. Matthew is anchoring Jesus to David, the king who was promised an eternal throne, and to Abraham, the father of the covenant. In other words, Jesus isn't just anyone. He's the rightful heir to both covenant and kingdom. This list of names is a divine announcement. It tells every Jewish reader this man is the fulfillment of everything we've been waiting for. Number 2, the number 14 is not a coincidence. It's hidden in the name David. Now, most modern readers completely overlook this, but first-century Jews saw it immediately. In Hebrew, every letter has a numerical value. This system is called gematria. And here's the incredible part. The name David in Hebrew is spelled Dalet, Vav, Dalet. That's 4, 6, and 4, which adds up to 14. Matthew chapter 1 verse 17 says this: "So all the generations from Abraham to David were 14 generations. From David until the exile to Babylon, 14 generations, and from the exile to the Christ, 14 generations." 3 sets of 14. That's not sloppy math. That's a symbolic declaration. Matthew is coding the name David into the structure itself. It's his way of saying Jesus is the true son of David, the Messiah, woven into every layer of this genealogy. Number 3, yes, Matthew skips generations, and that's totally allowed. Now, skeptics often point out that Matthew omits certain kings from his list, like Ahaziah, Joash, and Amaziah. And to modern readers, that feels like a mistake. But ancient Jewish genealogies didn't follow our rules. In fact, it was normal and even expected to skip generations for the sake of symmetry, memory, or theology. The phrase son of didn't always mean direct biological son. It could mean descendant of. Need proof? Look at Ezra chapter 7. It skips multiple generations between Aaron and Ezra, and nobody accuses Ezra of being inaccurate. Matthew's goal wasn't to be exhaustive, it was to be prophetic and symbolic, to show Jesus as the long-awaited heir of David and the fulfillment of promise. Number 4. Those 5 women aren't a mistake. They are the gospel in miniature. Now, this is where Matthew gets truly radical. He names 5 women in the genealogy, something that would have shocked most Jewish readers. Here they are: Tamar, who disguised herself as a prostitute to get justice; Rahab, a Canaanite sex worker from Jericho; Ruth, a Moabite outsider; Bathsheba, the wife of Uriah involved in scandal with David; and Mary, a young virgin, mysteriously pregnant before marriage. Why include women with scandalous or outsider reputations? Because Matthew is giving us a preview of Jesus' mission. He came for the outsider. He redeems broken stories. He brings honor to the dishonored. These women weren't blemishes. They were foreshadows of the grace Jesus came to unleash. Number 5, Jesus legally bypassed the curse on Jeconiah. Now, skeptics will argue that Jesus can't be the Messiah because of the Jeconiah curse. In Jeremiah chapter 22, verse 30, God declares that none of Jeconiah's descendants will sit on David's throne, and Joseph, Jesus' adoptive father, descends from Jeconiah. So, how can Jesus be the rightful king? Here's the divine workaround. Joseph gives Jesus legal rights to David's throne through adoption. But Mary, according to Luke's genealogy, descends from David's son Nathan, not Solomon. That line isn't affected by the curse. This means Jesus has the legal claim through Joseph and the biological Davidic bloodline through Mary, without inheriting the curse. It's a theological tightrope, and Jesus walks it perfectly. Number 6. The Babylonian exile isn't just history, it's prophecy in motion. Most people see the exile as a historical detail, but Matthew structures his genealogy around it for a reason. Here's the pattern: from Abraham to David, the rise of Israel; from David to the exile, the fall of the kingdom; from exile to Christ, the dawn of redemption. The exile marked the moment Israel lost its temple, its land, and its king. But Matthew is saying the story doesn't end there. Jesus is the one who ends the exile, not just physically, but spiritually. He brings the presence of God back to his people. He restores the kingdom. He is the long-awaited return from captivity. Number 7. Son of David comes before son of Abraham for a reason. Now, if Matthew were just listing things chronologically, he should have said son of Abraham first. But he doesn't. Why? Because by the time of Jesus, Jewish hopes were centered not on Abraham, but on David's heir. The Messiah would be the son of David, the one who would restore the throne and crush Israel's enemies. 2 Samuel chapter 7 verses 12 to 13 contains the prophecy, "I will raise up your offspring after you, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever." By putting son of David first, Matthew is saying, this is the king we've waited for. This is the Messiah. Number 8. 3 sets of 14 equals 6 sevens, and Jesus is the 7th. This one's easy to miss but impossible to ignore once you see it. 3 sets of 14 means 6 sets of 7 generations, which makes Jesus the beginning of the 7th seven. In Jewish tradition, 7 was the number of completion and rest. The 7th day was Sabbath. The 7th year was a year of release, and every 7th cycle of 7 was Jubilee, a time of freedom and restoration. So what is Matthew hinting at? Jesus is the beginning of the ultimate Sabbath. He is rest for the weary, freedom for the oppressed, and the Jubilee for the world. Number 9. The genealogy itself is like a literary temple. Ancient Jewish writings were often patterned after sacred spaces like the tabernacle or temple, and Matthew follows suit. Watch this. First set, Abraham to David. This is the foundation of the nation. Second set, David to exile. This is the rise and fall of the monarchy. Third set, exile to Christ. This is the hope of restoration. And then Jesus enters the scene, just like the glory of God returning to the Holy of Holies. The structure of the genealogy isn't random. It's architectural, it's sacred. It's a literary temple, and Jesus is the glory at its center. Number 10. This genealogy is a prophecy checklist, and Jesus checks every box. Let's take a step back and look at the big picture. Jesus had to fulfill specific Old Testament promises. He had to be from Abraham's seed. That's Genesis chapter 12, verse 3. He had to come from the tribe of Judah. That's Genesis chapter 49, verse 10. He had to be in the royal line of David. That's Isaiah chapter 11, verse 1. He had to be born in Bethlehem. That's Micah chapter 5, verse 2. And he had to be born of a virgin. That's Isaiah chapter 7, verse 14. Matthew's genealogy hits all of them. And Matthew chapter 1, verse 16 seals it with these words, "And Jacob begot Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom Jesus was born, who is called Christ." Notice the shift. It doesn't say Joseph begot Jesus, it says Jesus was born of Mary. That subtle phrase honors the virgin birth and fulfills Isaiah's prophecy. This isn't just a genealogy, it's a prophetic announcement. So you see, what looks like a boring list of names is actually a masterpiece of theology, prophecy, and literary genius. Matthew wasn't careless. He was strategic. He was writing to a Jewish audience steeped in scripture, symbolism, and longing. And he was saying, loud and clear, this Jesus is the one we've been waiting for. As always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.